Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
Government Nursing Officers Union says that its members will report to work at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
අපි ආරම්භ කළ දීප ව්‍යාප්තියට වර්ජනය හෙට උදේ 7ට අපි නතර කරමු. ස්ථිර තීන්දුවක් තීරණයක් දෙනකන් අපි මේ වැඩ වර්ජන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය ඉදිරියට ගෙනියනවා.
Nurses' strike continues to hamper activities at government hospitals across the island. President comments on the trade union action.
මොන තමන්ගේ වෘත්තිමය ප්‍රශ්නයක් නිසා අහිංසක ලෙඩ්ඩු අහිංසක මිනිස්සු බිල්ලට ගන්න පුළුවන්.
And landslide warnings issued to the Badula, Kegol and Nuwara districts extended by 24 hours.
Around the world in 40 days.
New stories in detail. The Sri Lankan team that embarked on the Around the World in 40 Days Goodwill Tour to raise awareness on the World Conference on Youth arrived in the island this evening. The group were greeted warmly at the Katunaika International Airport upon their arrival.
Around the World in 40 Days, an initiative by Newsfirst together with Sri Lanka youth commenced on the 26th of March and journeyed across 5 continents. The objective of the initiative was to create awareness regarding the World Youth Conference in Sri Lanka and also to take the message of WCY14 to its member states. Assistant Director of Sri Lanka Youth Services Council Saman Abewardana, General Secretary of Sri Lanka Youth Clubs Federation Saman Kumara and the Federation's Vaunia District Secretary Amudha Raja Devaraja were part of the Around the World in 40 Days team.
We successfully concluded the tour raising awareness on the World Conference on Youth 2014 among Ministers of Youth Affairs, youth representatives and officials of youth councils in countries across the globe. We have received favourable feedback through this initiative. I should mention that a special function was organised in India with the participation of youth yesterday. We can say that overall the initiative was a success.
තරුණ පිරිසක් සහභාගී කරමින් ඉතා හොඳ වැඩසටහනක් සංවිධානය කරලා තිබුණා. සමස්තයක් හැටියට ගත්තාම මේ පූර්ව ප්‍රචාරක වැඩසටහන ඉතාම සාර්ථකව ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණා කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්.
Director, General Manager of Newsfirst Yasarath Kamal Siri and Assistant News Manager Ramesh Urugal Bandara represented Newsfirst in this 40-day tour. The Around the World in 40 Days team made their first stop in Malaysia after departing the island and subsequently made their way to Singapore, Indonesia and the Philippines. The group then visited China and Japan and met with the youth representatives there. Afterwards, the group toured Australia, the United States and America and also made their way to a number of countries including the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, France and Russia. After touring across 5 continents, the team arrived back in the island this evening from India.
Spokesperson of the World Youth Conference, Attorney at Law Lalit Pium Pereira, said that 6 ministers of youth affairs representing 6 countries had arrived in the island this morning in line with the World Youth Conference 2014. A total of 94 youth representatives have arrived in the island. A group led by Minister of Youth Affairs and Skills Development, Dallas Alahaperuma, visited the Magam Ruhunapura International Convention Centre yesterday to inspect the readiness for the opening ceremony of WCY 2014.
මේ ඔබ දකින්නේ 2010
You can see here the preparations that are being made for the opening ceremony of the World Conference on Youth 2014 at the Magam Runapura International Convention Center. Rehearsals for the opening ceremony that will be held tomorrow continue today as well. Representatives from 169 countries have already confirmed their participation in the conference. The World Conference on Youth 2014 will work off at this convention center tomorrow morning under the auspices of the President and the President of the UN General Assembly.
Preliminary sessions and closing ceremony of WCY 2014 is to be held at BMICH following the inaugural session.
මේ ගොඩනැගෙන කොළඹ ප්‍රකාශනය තමයි
There are 1.8 billion youth living in the world at present. The Colombo Declaration will provide guidelines for states when it comes to determining the role of these youth in the next 10 years and for youth who are yet to be born.
මඟ පෙන්වන ලියවිල්ල බවට මේක පත් වෙයි කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
The first group of foreign state ministers who will be participating in the World Conference on Youth 2014 arrived in the country this morning at the Bandar Naika International Airport in Katunayaka. Minister of Youth Affairs from Myanmar, Fiji, Nepal, Cuba, Gabon and Algeria arrived in the island this morning. The youth representative of the UN General Secretary Ahmed Alahandai is slated to participate at the conference.
Although the youth conference will commence tomorrow, delegates will continue to come. I believe that some may even arrive day after tomorrow. 67 youth delegates from Latin America will get delayed due to a problem pertaining to their tickets.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa has also extended his best wishes for the World Conference on Youth 2014 that is to commence tomorrow. In his message, the President notes that it is timely for the World Conference on Youth to be held in Sri Lanka at a time when Sri Lanka has crossed the threshold to peace and is progressing on the path of reconciliation and development. The President added, quote, "The national policy of Sri Lanka states that this century belongs to the youth. It is a century of knowledge. This clearly shows the importance given to the progress of youth in the country and the emphasis on listening to the voice of youth in the task of national development."
The Government Nursing Officers Association says that the strike action initiated by them will conclude at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The president of the GNOA, Saman Ratnapriya, said that although they have decided to call off the strike, the association places no faith in the committee that has been appointed to address the issue.
The Minister of Health and Secretary of Health called us and informed us that a committee has been appointed to resolve this problem. We do not have any faith in this committee, but neither do we have a complete lack of faith. Regardless of the situation, as an association that thinks of the people of this country and as an association that has always intervened to resolve problems faced by the people, thereby inviting the eye of the rulers, we have decided to conclude our island-wide strike action at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
While two of the nursing unions that initiated the strike action recently have decided to abandon it, the All Ceylon Nurses Union says that they will not abandon the strike.
මේ වැඩවර්ධන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය අපේ ප්‍රධාන ඉල්ලීම් දෙක වෙච්ච එකක් දැනට
The 2009 batch of nurses for the labor room training program and clinical training must be allowed to go to the hospitals for these training programs, which is one of our demands that led to this strike action. The second factor is that all nurses should be allowed to receive labor room training continuously until we have written assurances from the Minister of Health. We will continue with this strike action.
සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් ස්ථිර තීන්දුවක් තීරණයක් දෙනකන් අපි මේ වැඩවර්ධන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය ඉදිරියට ගෙනියනවා.
රජයේ වෛද්‍ය නිලධාරීන්ගේ සංගමය සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයට දන්වා සිටියා දැනට පත්කොට තිබෙන මේ වාට්ටු ලිපිකරුවන් සහ ලිපිකාරින්.
The Government Medical Officers Association informed the Ministry of Health to recruit a sufficient number of ward clerks and to entrust the inventory or all the equipment to them. So in the event of a strike, the employees will have the ability to continue working. What has happened now is that they have locked the cupboards and handed over false keys. At the same time, they have switched labels of certain medicines. These are actions which endanger the lives of patients and are incidents of criminal negligence. At the same time, for the operating theatres, as in developed countries, we hope to recruit surgical technicians instead of surgical nurses. If so, we will be able to continue with surgical services in the event of a strike. At the same time, we are hoping to hold discussions with the Secretary of Defence to provide nursing training to all female military personnel.
මේ ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්වරයා සමග කිරීමට බලාපොරොත්තු.
Tensions flared at the Kuliapitiya Base Hospital today when steps were taken to transfer 18 pregnant mothers from the hospital owing to the nurses' strike.
An argument had broken out between the nurses and midwives at the Kuliapitiya Base Hospital this morning when the midwives reported for labour room duties. Our reporter says that hospital authorities later took steps to transfer 18 pregnant mothers from the hospital. While the mothers who left the hospital in the afternoon protested against this step, they also voiced their protest to hospital authorities who arrived there.
අම්මගේ සහ දරුවාගේ ඒක ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න පුළුවන් හැකියාව ආරයි. දෙක දැඩි අවදානම් තත්ත්වයේ තියෙන කිසිම කෙනෙක් අපි ෆයින් යවන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ඇම්බියුලන්ස් වල කරලා තමයි ට්‍රාන්ස්ෆර් කරන්නේ. අපිව බලා ගන්නවා කියන්නේ දේ. ඒ පේෂන්ට් බලා ගන්න එයා බැඳී සිටිනවා. මොකද මාසෙකට සැරයක් channel කරන්න සෑහෙන ගාණක් යනවා. එතකොට කොහොමද දැන් ඔය විදිහට නිකන් කටු විදිහට උත්තර දෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒගොල්ලෝ සාහතික කරලා නිකන් සීල් එකකින් විතර මිනිස්සුන්ගේ මනුස්සකම්ම කන්න පුළුවන්ද? එහෙම කතා කරන්න බෑ කාටවත්. මාසෙකට සැරයක් channel කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ඒ නේදාම ඒ මිනිස්සයා අතේ තියා ගන්නවා කියන්නේ. පොරොට නිකන් channel කරලා ඉවර වෙලා මෙතනින් නිකන් දොට්ට දාන්න බෑ. එහෙම නිකන් අසරණ ලේතු.
I was in pain since this morning. They later informed me to transfer to another hospital as soon as possible as I may have to deliver my child soon.
Nursing staff who arrived at the hospital subsequently informed the mothers that they are prepared to provide services. Our cameras captured footage of how the mothers forcefully made their way back to the hospital.
Although the Public Services United Nurses Union headed by Venerable Muruthettuwe Anandathera announced yesterday that they would withdraw from the strike action, nurses did not report to work at many hospitals across the island today.
The nurses' strike, prompted by problems surrounding the granting of labour room training to nurses, continued for a third day today in all hospitals across the island except in 4. The Public Service United Nurses Union decided to withdraw from the strike action yesterday following the decision to appoint a committee headed by Treasury Secretary Dr. P.B. Jasundara to address the persisting issue. The president of the union, Venerable Muruthettuwe Anandathera, said that a small section of the union's membership had not reported to work owing to influences by certain individuals. Patients were severely inconvenienced at hospitals across the island today as well as a result of this strike action. Services at most hospitals were carried out by the doctors together with minor staff.
The accident ward is a very busy place. Usually we require the assistance of nurses to get the work done. At a time when they are engaged in trade union action, we cannot disregard the patients. Therefore, we are doing the best we can.
A patient who was admitted to the National Hospital following a road accident had this to say.
I have not been treated yet. I was supposed to receive treatment today, but I have not been treated. I have not eaten or drunk anything since midnight because they said they would be taking me inside.
Dialysis units at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital were not in operation on Saturday as there were no trained officials. All in-house patients at the dialysis unit were transferred to the Anuradhapura and Kandy hospitals. The renal disease unit of the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital has decided to train doctors to use the dialysis units to address the hardships faced by the patients. Our reporter says that although the renal disease unit was functioning, other units at the hospital were affected by the strike action. Deputy Director General of Health Services Anand Gunasekura visited the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital today on a fact-finding mission.
It is happy to note that the director of the hospital, the deputy director and the doctors together with the specialist and the other staff are successfully carrying out the duties at the hospital. The theatres are functioning, the labour rooms are also in operation, the emergency units are also operational while all wards remain open. 4 units of the renal disease unit are also operating in the hospital.
Nurses from the Public Service United Nurses Union did report to work at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital today. The nurses' strike also rendered dysfunctional services at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital.
Do not engage in acts to deceive the people. I am not afraid to say this. The people are the ones affected by this. I am 75 years old. I am unable to seek private medication for my illness.
Doctors and minor staff together carried out the services in the hospital in the absence of the nurses. Although 270 nurses were slated to report for duty at the Mathura General Hospital today, only 3 nurses turned up.
We treated patients at the OPD and in-house patients today as well. In the future as well, no matter the obstacles, we will do our utmost to ensure the welfare of the patients.
The same situation prevailed at the Kandy General Hospital. However, doctors succeeded in carrying out the daily functions of the hospital. Our reporter says that health staff assistants too assisted in these measures. Our reporter says that while nurses did not report to work at the Karapitia Teaching Hospital, patients were severely inconvenienced as a result.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the lives of patients cannot be sacrificed on the basis of any professional problem. He made this statement at an event organized to celebrate International Midwives' Day, which falls today.
The theme of the International Midwives' Day celebration in Sri Lanka was Protect the Midwife Service to ensure safe maternity. The commemorative event was graced by many invitees, including politicians. The President also launched the official website of the Government Midwifery Association parallel to International Midwives' Day.
You render your services amid many hardships, rain or shine, regardless of the facilities or lack thereof. You travel from house to house in the cities and the villages, safeguarding the health of mothers and children and carrying out a major responsibility to the future of humanity.
When talking about the family health service, we are reminded time and time again that it is a service of great kindness. We have acted very sensitively with regard to the problems faced by people in this service from the highest to the lowest level. Thus far, you had been the only service not to go on strike. I believe it was only for one day. I know that in some instances, even if you are on strike, when the message comes, you have to get back to work. It shows the kindness of your hearts. I respect you for that. In truth, there is no need to act this way in any field. At present, these incidents are taking place not because of shortcomings on our part, but because of problems within unions. I believe it is so. I do not think that you can sacrifice innocent people, innocent patients, for whatever professional problems you may have. You cannot sacrifice innocent children. I do not think that any society at any time is prepared to accept such actions.
The
President also presented a token of appreciation to Minister Maithripala Sirisena in recognition of services rendered by him to the National Health Service. Appreciation awards were also presented to midwives at this event. The President of the Government Midwives Association, Devika Kodituaku, submitted to the President a set of proposals compiled by the association.
With the inclement weather conditions prevalent in the island, the Met Department says that there is a possibility of wind speeds increasing to up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. The department said that heavy showers could be expected in the island tomorrow as the atmospheric disturbance has intensified into a low-pressure system. Several landslides were also reported in the island yesterday owing to the heavy rainfall.
A house was severely damaged in the Janude village in Miribad de Passara. No casualties were reported owing to the collapse of the earth embankment, while 2 rooms of the house were reportedly damaged.
Because of the severe rain, we were in another house. This incident took place at around 3:30 in the morning. The children have lost their clothes. This is the damage we are suffering.
A house in Dumbuluwa, Singalagama in Hemmatagama was damaged after an earth slip last night. There were no reports of casualties owing to the incident.
All of a sudden we heard a noise. Then the rock started moving. We then moved aside. Before we knew it, the rock had fallen. Meanwhile, the Department of Disaster Management says that the landslide warning issued for the Kegol, Badul and Noorele districts has been extended by another 24 hours. 5 persons have been injured after being struck by lightning in several parts of the island. Our correspondent said that 4 individuals who were injured by lightning after lightning struck a house in Nadativu, Kenya, are receiving treatment at present. Another person was injured while using electrical appliances during heavy thunder showers in Batikalo. Adverse weather conditions across the island has also prompted the opening of many sluice gates of reservoirs, including in the Mahaweli B and C zones, while the overflowing of reservoirs has been reported in many areas. Sluice gates of Tarla Gangvilla Reservoir were opened today as well. Our correspondent said that the water of the Piburattawe Reservoir has reached spill level. Dalutwawe and Kajuatta reservoirs have also reached spill level. Two sluice gates of the Rajangania Reservoir were opened by up to 4 feet today. 2,400 cubic millimeters of water is being released to the Kala River per second. Two sluice gates of the Angamue Reservoir were opened today. Meanwhile, sluice gates of the Abakola Reservoir have also been opened. Sluice gates of the Ingidimitia Reservoir were opened this afternoon when the reservoir reached spill level. The Crossway Bridge, located along the Puttalam Manor Road, was submerged by 7 feet of water owing to the overflowing of waters of the Kalaoya. This is the manner in which 150 acres of paddy land was inundated with water in the area. 8 sluice gates of the Daduroya were opened as a result of the reservoir reaching spill level. Meanwhile, with intermittent showers being experienced across the island, an unusual report of fish making landfall was experienced in Madampe, Chilau this morning. Our correspondent says that subsequent to the rains, over 50 kilograms of fish were scattered in the area.
The Sri Lanka military today refuted an allegation by a senior Bharatiya Janata Party leader in Tamil Nadu that Pakistan-backed extremists are being trained in the country. The Press Trust of India quoted Army media spokesperson Brigadier Ruwan Wanigasuriya as saying that the allegations were baseless. Brigadier Wanigasuriya said, quote, in the backdrop of the Indian elections, an accusation has been made that terrorists are being trained in Sri Lanka. This is a baseless allegation, unquote. He added, quote, Sri Lanka is a country which suffered from terrorism for over 30 years. We will not support terrorism in whatever form, unquote. A Tamil Nadu BJP leader, L. Ganesan, had yesterday charged that Pakistan-backed extremists were being trained in Sri Lanka and would be infiltrated into India to execute terror attacks. Ganesan said the training was being carried out despite both Pakistan and Sri Lanka being aware of it.
10 persons have arrived in Tamil Nadu as asylum seekers via the northern seas of Mullaitivu. Our bureau's correspondent in India says that they had arrived in Dhanushkodi, Tamil Nadu by boat. A group of 10, including 2 women and 5 children, have sought asylum in Tamil Nadu. Over 100,000 Sri Lankans are seeking refuge in 25 districts and 133 camps across Tamil Nadu at present. Thousands of Sri Lankans are believed to be living outside refugee camps after signing in as asylum seekers at present.
Indian National Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi promised free access to medical treatment for the poor if voted to power in the family's pocket borough of Amethi after his sister Priyanka Gandhi toiled the constituency seeking votes for her brother. There is a three-cornered contest in Amethi as Rahul Gandhi will face Smriti Irani from the BJP and Kumar Vishwas from the regional Aam Aadmi or the Common Man Party from the same constituency. The contest in Amethi further heated up today with BJP Prime Ministerial candidate Narendra Modi arriving in the electorate to campaign for Irani.
Projecting himself as a leader of the masses for the people and by the people, Rahul Gandhi promised to work among the people at the grassroots level in the constituency and take Amethi to great heights of development.
Till I am alive, I will be among you, the people. I hope you will bring me amongst yourselves. You will always see my face amongst yourselves. Whatever I may do, I will always remain one with you. And I will always work for the development of Amethi. We will work together for its progress.
Meanwhile, Prime Ministerial candidate of India's main opposition, Bharatiya Janata Party, Narendra Modi, took a jibe at the chief of the ruling Congress party, Sonia Gandhi, today while campaigning during an election rally in Ambedkar Nagar district in northern Uttar Pradesh.
उन्होंने कहा ये मोदी मांग रहा है.
She said that Modi is asking for votes. Brothers and sisters, she may feel ashamed of asking for votes, but I am not ashamed of asking. The people are an image of God. They are part of God. If I don't ask the people, then whom will I ask? What should I say to you about this? You have said it yourself that Modi sees himself as the future Prime Minister. Sonia ji, you have said such a nice thing. May your words come true.
आपने इतनी अच्छी बात बोल दी है तो आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर.
At the close of the 7th round of elections on the 30th of April, polling concluded in 438 out of 543 parliamentary seats, leaving 105 more to be decided in the last two phases in May. Results of the world's largest parliamentary election are due to be announced on the 16th of May.
On this first tonight, credit to the private sector from the banking system declined in February in comparison to previous months. Analysts say that persisting problems with investor confidence in the private sector has contributed to the lack of expected credit growth.
While the central bank has taken steps over the past several months to maintain low policy rates in the commercial banks, normal interest rates, which stood at 16.36% in March last year, had decreased to 14.44% by May this year. However, the CBSL notes that in comparison with December last year, credit to the private sector had declined by 42.7 billion rupees in January this year. Credit to the private sector, which stood at 2,491.6 billion rupees in January, declined to 2,490.7 billion rupees in February.
Interest rate is only one of the variables affecting private credit expansion and investment. It is only one of the variables. I think it is very important variable, but it is only one of them. There are many other variables which affect private credit expansion. Actually, the private sector confidence or the business confidence in the economy, the policy environment, the political factors, all these things are actually important factors which determine credit expansion as well as investment growth.
The CBSL attributes the decline in credit to the private sector to low gold pawning rates.
The trial of 6 defendants, including the chairman of the Tengal Pradeshia Sabha Sampath Vidanapatirana in the murder of British national Khurram Sheikh and the gang rape of his girlfriend Victoria Alexandrovna, was taken up once again today at the Colombo High Court with Judge Rohini Walgama presiding. 2 doctors testified in court today that they had examined the first, second, third and fourth defendants in the trial. Testifying in court today, Dr. K.H.D. Priyadarshana said that while he examined the first and second defendants, they did not have any external injuries. He added that the second defendant's wrist was swollen and that the defendant claimed that the swelling was caused by a fall. Dr. Deshani Galgamo, who also testified in court today, said that she had examined the suspect Sampath Vidanapatirana, adding that he had a minor injury on his thumb. She said the defendant had told her that the wound was caused by a piece of glass. The doctor also noted that the fourth defendant in the case also sustained a minor wound. The trial will recommence tomorrow.
4 suspects who were arrested over the recent attack on a group of UNP MPs engaged in a fact-finding mission in Hambantota were produced before the Hambantota Magistrates Court today. The police say that the suspects were released on 2 sureties of 100,000 rupees each after being produced in court. The 4 suspects had been arrested over an incident where a group of UNP parliamentarians visiting the Hambantota port on the 17th of April were obstructed. The police say that the case is to be taken up again on the 2nd of July.
In the meantime, UNP parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayaka attended an event held in Mattakuliya yesterday where he commented on law and order.
The event was held to recognize the talents of students at the Siri Sarana Dhamma School in Mattakuliya.
When I came here today, I heard the headlines which said that an 18-year-old boy had stolen a woman's chain and was caught by the police. Minutes later, I heard that a public service employee had been arrested for printing counterfeit currency notes. How many people are printing counterfeit notes today? Some prominent politicians are doing it too. But what is the police doing in this regard? I wish to remind you that we will use the limited resources we have to fulfill your limitless needs and bring this country onto the straight path.
2 netball teams from the Shokanji International School are to compete at the Thailand Invitational Netball Tournament. The teams participated in religious observances yesterday prior to their departure.
Religious observances were held under the guidance of the chairman of the Yoshida Shokanji International School, Venerable Banagalu Putisatera. The netball tournament is to be held from the 7th to the 11th of May in Thailand. The under-15 and under-18 teams of the Yoshida Shokanji International School will be participating in the tournament organized by the Thailand Netball Federation.
It is our hope to bring the Under-15 championship to Sri Lanka. I hope to bring a good reputation to Sri Lanka.
In education, you can make life successful if you have external knowledge in addition to the knowledge you glean from books. You have been granted a good opportunity for this day today. The Yoshida Shokanji International School has been established and is being maintained with the support and dedication of the chief incumbent of Shokanji Temple and the chairman of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited. On several occasions, I have been told that one of the most talented sportsmen or women from the country will come from this school in the future. So in truth, I feel that maybe we are celebrating the first step in that journey today.
Moving on to some sports news now. Amila Jayasiri of the Sri Lanka Air Force was adjudged the most talented sportsman from the under-23 category at the Junior National Athletics Championships in a game that came to a close today. Nadishan Henderson, also from the Sri Lanka Air Force, was adjudged the most talented sportswoman at the event.
The Junior National Athletics Championship that was worked off at the Sugdadasa Stadium in Colombo over the past 4 days concluded today. The 10,000 meters track event for the under-23 boys category was held this morning as the organizers failed to complete the event on time last evening. NMCC Navasinghe of the Sri Lanka Air Force, who clocked a time of 31 minutes 4.92 seconds, won the 10,000 meters track event while establishing a new games record. The previous record for the event was held by NG Aberatna, also from the Sri Lanka Air Force, in 2010. ANL Alvidasa, who also represented the Sri Lanka Air Force, set a new games record in the 10,000 meters women's event. She clocked a time of 35 minutes 49.05 seconds to break the previous record set in 2011 by TC Hemamali of the Sri Lanka Police. During the course of today, 5 new game records were established and a total number of game records set up during the championship was 22.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. It was a pleasure having you with us. Good night and take care.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.